New England, Maine, where I live, is a highly secular culture. You know, when I moved here, I was prepared, I thought, for liberalism. I knew what that would sound like. I really wasn't prepared for a secular culture, a God-less culture.
Maine is a post-Christian culture, meaning that there was a day that many people knew Christ, loved Christ, and lived for Christ in this region. It was a long time ago. Here we are. Welcome to Maine. I'm Barry Murray, Church Planting Catalyst here in Maine. And as you can see here, it's a beautiful shot right out towards some mountains. Right on my right is Mount Washington. Behind the hills to my left is the greater Portland area. It's known as Vacationland. People from all over are here in the summertime or the wintertime, depending on their preference. But isn't it sad that though the sign on the way into the state says the way life should be, that only 2 out of 100 people who live here in Maine know Christ in a personal way. And that's why you need to be praying about, hey, is Maine the place that I need to go and plant my life and be a part of what God's doing by sharing the gospel with all those people, almost 1.3 million people here in Maine that don't know Jesus Christ. Over the last 10 years, as people continue to leave the Catholic Church, Maine has become the least religious state in the country.
The Great Awakenings happened in these congregational churches a couple hundred years ago, and you can't assume just because you have a white church in the middle of town that you have a gospel presence.
You look at the history of Christianity in America, I mean, a lot of it comes and burgeons, starts with the Northeast.
We're 2.5 years in, and we've seen some, like our neighbors, come to Christ, but we also have just seen, Easter we didn't have barely any visitors at all because people just don't visit church, and even on Easter in this context, because it's not a church culture.
You see a mill building in the background that was the start of this town, but that mill is long since gone. People don't have the thriving jobs that they once did. But they're still looking for answers, but they're not looking at the church typically.
The soil is rocky and hard for the gospel. And so we're almost, in some ways, just trying to till soil. At the same time, we're tossing seeds, we're sowing seeds. They're bouncing off things, they're getting thrown back at you, but a few of them land in some soil.
We see a lot of places, a lot of churches dying, but there's a lot of churches now growing.
God's been good. He's blessed us mightily with a lot of hard-working people, a lot of people who love the Lord and want to see His kingdom grow. And it's growing here.
We need to connect the gospel to people where they are and take Christ to people. And we do that in various ways, obviously relationally. Relationships are huge with people in Maine.
So reaching out in different ways, we've gotten involved with the foster care system, and honestly, those are the people that are members of our church now. People that we've gotten to know through different outreach events, whether it's a free car wash or whether it's a community event down at the park.
You know, a lot of people here burn wood. We're out in the woods of Maine. That's a heat source for people. We go and help them split, stack, cut, and get their firewood ready for the season. That's a great launching spot, right? So then as you build those relationships, then you can start to talk about, how do we get into the Word together.
You're probably the person that wants to come to this state. If you're comfortable in a small town setting, you're comfortable in knowing your neighbors, you're comfortable in being casual, but you're also comfortable with the fact that people might be standoffish sometimes, and you're going to have to work on them to break down some barriers it might have. I'm bivocational, which a lot of pastors in our state are bivocational. If 4 definitive seasons are not going to be a problem for you, more importantly, if you are willing to come and network with people that are just simple down-home folk that are just trying to make their way through life the best way they can, then this is the place you ought to come to.
Small towns, but towns that have a lot of character, a lot of community activities, and it's a great place to raise a family as well.
It's not easy, but at the same time, there's an intense reward just by doing what you're called to do, and I'd have you pray about that calling.
I would encourage you to pray about coming and taking a visit. Just take a vision tour with us and see what God's doing here pray about joining our team and be a part of the North American Mission Board, be a part of Maine Church Planting, be a part of the Maine Baptist Association as we reach out in our state and see God continue to do great things as He brings His harvest here in Maine.